Okay, I think we basically have everybody in now. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's a relatively short presentation. It's about 15 minutes and we'll go straight into a Q&A then. Feel free to ask questions at any point during the presentation. You'll have a panel question section on your panel. So any point you want to ask a question, just put it in, and at the end of the video, we will go through those. Okay, let's get it started.
Hi, in today's tutorial we will be going over the new Horner iOS app. We will be discussing the following topics. First of all, what is the Horner app? We're going to talk about the different features of the app. We'll talk about the commercial details and some of its applications. And then finally, we will give you a roadmap of some of the features that could be coming in the future. Well, what is the Horner app? The app is named Fabric and is for mobile devices. It's currently available for iOS devices, with an Android version coming soon. It requires iOS 13 and above to run. The new app provides a variety of machine access functions, and it is useful for a remote access type application or for in-plant use. The app allows you to monitor and control any OCS with WEBMI in an easier way than it is with a browser alone. It allows you to transfer files to and from any OCS product over FTP. It keeps track of IP addresses, URLs, and access credentials for you. Let's talk about setup for the Horner app. You start by logging into the app with your Horner Universal login. The Horner app uses the same username and password you use whenever you're downloading Cscape, licensing a controller for WebMI, etc. Once you've logged in, you're going to create a site. This site will have one or more controllers. You create a site by pressing the plus button in the upper right hand corner of your screen. First, provide your site with a suitable name for your application. Next, give your site your desired address. You can use map functions to help locate the address on the map. Then, provide an appropriate description for your site. Finally, you can change the order in which sites are listed on screen. Once you've set up a site, you can edit that site later using the Edit button. You can also clone that site if you have several similar sites, and then edit the details to make the clone site different after it has been cloned. Once you have created a site, you can add one or more controllers to that site. You create a device by pressing the plus button in the upper right hand corner of your screen. Now, we start by providing an appropriate name and description for the individual OCS at that site. Then, we add the credentials for the OCS that we want the Horner app to remember. We start with Wi-Fi. Not every OCS is going to be located in an area with a Wi-Fi network, where your mobile device needs to log in to be able to access the OCS. It doesn't mean that the OCS is directly on the Wi-Fi network. It means that if the mobile device logs into this Wi-Fi network, it will have the ability to access the OCS. If this is a cellular application, or an application where the OCS will be accessed over the internet from your phone and not locally via Wi-Fi, then you can leave this blank. Next is IP address. This must be entered as every OCS will have an IP address, which is used to access the controller for WebMI FTP. Next is FTP. If you want to access this OCS using File Transfer Protocol to be able to see all the files that are on the microSD drive, then you'll need to fill in the FTP username and password that provides access. Finally, there's WebMI. If you want to access this OCS using WebMI, you'll need to enter the WebMI username and password. Now, an OCS has been created for this site. Once you've created an OCS device, you can edit it later using the Edit button. And if you have several OCSs with similar credentials, the Clone button can be used to duplicate an OCS device. For example, they might have the same Wi-Fi username and password, or similar IP addresses. To add OCSs with very different credentials, press the plus button. Once you have your sites created, individually add all the OCSs to each site. Once complete, we now have a complete set of credentials for our OCS products to be able to access them remotely or at the plant using WEBMI or FTP. Let's use the app during runtime. We start by logging into the app. The app does not require a continuous internet connection, so the best approach is to log in and stay logged in. That way, if you're at a site that doesn't have internet access and are accessing an OCS over a local Wi-Fi network, there won't be any issues in being able to use the application. After login, we use the My Sites tab to browse all of our sites and select the site we wish to access. Now, we have a list of all the OCSs at the site. We can either press the File or the WEBMI button for each device. Select WEBMI if you would like to remotely access the WEBMI pages. Alternatively, select Files if you would like to access the microSD memory card over the FTP. If you press the WEBMI button, the app is going to establish a connection. If this is a local application, the app may ask for permission to change Wi-Fi networks to the same network stored in the device's credentials. Otherwise, the local connection will be established using the IP address, username, and password credentials stored for that device. If this is an internet application, then the connection will be established using the IP address, username, and password credentials stored for that device. After a connection is established, you now use WEBMI like you normally would. The app automatically handles the IP address, username, password, and license agreement. Once you're using WEBMI, you can turn your mobile device to orient the screen. If your mobile device is oriented vertically, then the WEBMI page will be sized for width. If you turn your mobile device horizontally, the page will still be sized for width, but in the other direction. You can press Expand to toggle between window and full screen modes. If you would like to use a larger screen, the Horner app is compatible with iPad and even Mac OS, so you can use it on your computer. If you want to access files from a particular device at a site, select the Files icon at the My Devices page. Once you've done that, a connection will be established either locally or over the network, which may take some time. Once you have the connection established, you can access the files on the device. A list of file locations will be displayed. Select Fabric Device. You may need to expand the location list to see this option. Once you've selected Fabric Device, you have the ability to see all of the files that are located on the microSD card on the OCS that you are accessing. You can navigate from folder to folder, select files, and retrieve them. You can copy files to the memory card from your phone and vice versa. Files can be edited, displayed, and shared using other apps on your phone, such as Excel, OneDrive, and Dropbox. Now, here is a short video demonstration of the app in action. Now, let's take a look at the commercial details of the app. It is currently available to download on the App Store. It is priced at €5.49 and it requires iOS 13 or above to use. Now, for some examples of different applications in which you can use the Horner app to your benefit. It can be used in building automation to help manage multiple sites and facilities. It can be used in mobile equipment to manage equipment using WEBMI or FTP. It can be used in an agricultural environment to manage critical systems such as irrigation. Or it could be used in manufacturing, where OCS is being used for preventative maintenance or OEE. Let us take a look at a roadmap of functions we are considering adding to the Horner app. We would like to add the ability to view the status for different OCS. Technical details such as run mode, stat mode of the controller, and scan rate would be featured. We would like to add diagnostics of each OCS, including detailed self-test results. We would also like to add the parameters that are typically accessed over a system menu to the app. We are in the process of designing the next version of the app, which will include NFC functionality. If NFC is enabled, you can configure some details using NFC by holding your phone close to the device. You can use this to set the CAN ID and the CAN baud rate, and monitor the diagnostic status of that particular I/O base. You can also see what the I/O state is of the last scan. We've got another new product we'll be releasing soon, the Ip67 Controller, which uses NFC. With this product, you can configure things like network ID and baud rate, monitor status, view diagnostics, and even access the system menu. Finally, we are planning additional functionality for the Horner app, such as monitoring alarms at a site, storing programs for the OCS and loading them, performing firmware updates, being able to deploy license features in the field, and monitoring MQTT type communications, as well as transferring data over MQTT. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, we will be moving on to the Q&A section of the webinar very shortly.
Okay, so that was the presentation. Just a few questions in on this. Will the Android app be the same price? Yes, we expect it to be coming shortly. It's still just going through some testing, but yeah, it'll be the same price. Is there a required firmware version on the controller for the app? No. The only version of firmware that's required is for WEBMI. The app is separate. When will the app be available for Android devices? It's coming shortly. We don't have a definitive date on it yet, but it will be in the near future. How many users can be on at the same time? If it's for the one instance of WebMI, so for the one controller, 4 max. 4 at a time viewing the one site, or the one device, I should say. Do we need to make any adjustments in Cscape? No. Do your Cscape program as before for WebMI, and the app is just for viewing it as if you're the same way as using the browser. That appears to be it. I don't see any more questions coming in. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us this morning again. I hope this was of use to you, and hope you'll start using the app. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us this morning, and have a good day. And actually, before I go, we do have some more webinars coming up next week, and they'll be in the newsletter and also on the banner on site. So if you'd like to check those out and join us again next week, that'd be great. Thank you very much, and goodbye.